Your bonus video features financial functions. Now, financial functions, the three most common that we will use are future value, present value, and payment. I'm going to focus on future value and on payment. Now, when would you want to use financial functions? Pretty much anytime you're dealing with any sort of money, whether you are saving money, whether you're wondering costs of things, whether you're wondering how much your payments will be, whether you're wondering how your money will do later on in life and whatnot. These are the most common, and these are the ones that are probably most easy to find on the internet, but it is important you understand how they work and the makeup of them, so basically you don't get ripped off later in life. So when we talk about functions, it is very important to remember that you fill in the arguments with the corresponding data. And so when I say fill in the arguments, I'm talking about in your toolbox. If you look down, you're going to fill in the interest rate, you're going to fill in the NPERS, which is your number of payments, and we're going to fill in either the principal value or the amount you're borrowing or the amount that you are contributing, things like that. And we'll read down and we will figure those out. One thing that's very important to note when you are dealing with financial items is that we use negative numbers for paying out. So if you see something that is in red, if something that is in parentheses, if something that has a minus sign in front of it, that means it's a negative number. It can be formatted red and negative or red and parentheses. If you see that and you don't like red, or you don't like the parentheses, or you just want the minus sign, or you don't want the minus sign, all you have to do is remember just Command 1, and you can go into your Format Cells menu, and that's where you can make those changes. So we're going to take a look first at an example here for financial functions and look at future value. So let's say, for instance, that my husband and I, well, let's not say for instance, because we are going to be married 10 years. But let's say, for instance, we want to plan a getaway without our children, and we want to save some money, and I'm just wondering like how much we need to save, and we'll just put it in a traditional savings account. So let's go ahead and input our data, and our interest rate is right now, seriously, 0.25%, which is less than 1%, I get that. But, oh my goodness, type the right key. And the amount that we're going to add to savings, let's say we're going to add $75 a month, and we'll do this for the next 9 months. In the time that you could have a baby, you can also save for a trip. We're not going to have another baby, so trip makes most sense. So amount I will have saved at the end of my time, and I need to wrap that so it looks pretty. And now I'm going to open my functions, and I am going to go find future value. I could also type equals in future value, but remember the first thing here that we're going to look at in our formula is we are going to look at the interest rate, and the interest rate in this case happens to be in cell B3, and my number of periods that I'm going to do this are for 9 months, and my payment amount is going to be $75. If I hit enter, I see that at the end of those months I will have $681. Now, I wouldn't have a negative number, so again, remember what you need to do is go adjust this, and I can make this payment amount a negative number, and then hit enter, and you see it becomes positive. Now I want to check myself on this. I could say equals and take 75 times 9, and I see I have $675. So I collect a little bit of interest, but not a whole lot over those 9 months. And actually, if I'm only adding only adding $75 each month, it probably wouldn't even be that much, because banks try to calculate interest a little bit differently. But you get the idea that I would still have $681 to spend if I start saving right now for this trip. So that's future value in a nutshell. Payment. Let's take a look at that quick. Payment, again, just to remind you, displays your payment per period needed to repay any sort of loan, whatever type of loan you might get. So whether it is a house loan, a car loan, a loan for a computer, a credit card loan, whatever, college loans, you can figure that out. The thing you need to remember is that the rate and term functions need to be compatible. So if we're dealing with monthly payments, we need to do monthly. If we're dealing with yearly payments, we need to be yearly. And so that's how we figure that out. Let's take a look here. Let's say the approximate amount to go to college is going to be about $20,000 to be a freshman at UNL, and I'm not making this up. like literally it is. You can Google it. And let's say you want to take 5 years to pay off that debt. And right now, student loan interest rates are at about 5.5%, I believe. So my amount of my payment, I can type equals in PMT, and I want to use that function. And then my interest rate to start is going to be right here in cell B5. My NPER in 5 years that I want to pay off my freshman year only debt. Remember, you're going to go freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, ideally be done in 4 years, but you know, college is fun, so maybe don't take just 4 years, maybe take 4.5 or 5. Don't tell your parents I said that. And then the present value is $20,000 that you're wanting to loan. Now remember, when we hit enter, is this going to be the right number or not? $4,683. That seems a little high, but if we check it, equals this amount times the 5 years, oops, not B65, just 5, it's $23,000. So that's pretty realistic. Now what if I'm curious though what my monthly payment is going to be? So 5 years equals 60 months. When I come back to this formula, that seems a little bit unrealistic that my monthly payment's going to be $1,000 times 60. Well, 1,000 times 60 would be $60,000. That's a little out of whack. Let's delete this one out. So let's go adjust this payment. And if you remember correctly, when we adjust, since this is months, this is a yearly thing, we need to make this divided by 12. And then it tells me $382. Now if I take this $382.02 times the 60 months, we'll see that it's about $23,000. So it's again pretty close. So just to remind you, you're going to need to do that divided by 12 in the interest rate if you're dealing with months. If you're just dealing with years, everything should work out fine. Other things that are covered then in the rest of this unit, I know I said this was just about financial functions, but it is important when you are looking at the rest of these. Logical functions need to have logic used with them. Those are the if functions. Draw tools and pictures tool worksheet are exactly the same. Worksheet tabs, consolidating workbook data. Let's say I wanted to link these together. If you remember correctly, when you link items together in a worksheet, let's say I want to take this number and I want to put it over here on sheet 2 because it needs a pretty red number or something like that. So I'm going to click, let me move this out of the way. I'm going to click here in cell D6 and I'll type equals. Then I can go to sheet 1 and I want to put that amount of payment there. And then I can hit enter and it takes me back and it says, even though you're saving $75 a month to go on a trip, it's going to cost your kids $382 for 1 month to pay back student loans for their freshman year, so maybe you shouldn't take the trip is what that tells me. Or maybe I should just take the trip and tell my kids they have to deal with it themselves. I guess we'll see. Anyway, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Please let me know. Ask me in class. You need to know how to do this because this is an important component that comes up on your test. Plus, it's an important life skill to know that you're not going to get ripped off someday. Bye.